All right, Matt, I'm excited about today's episode. This is a clip from my favorite podcast, other than ours, called The H3
Yeah,
Show.
you better be sure to specify
I know, right? So I've watched every episode since it came out in 2017. They just talk about modern sort of events, political, social, stuff like that. The main host is Ethan Klein and his wife, Ela Klein.
Okay.
So I was watching it last week, and they started talking about a subject, and I thought right away, this is perfect for you to respond to. Just about dogs,
Guess
about
we'll see.
aging. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So if you want to dive into it?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
I heard they're working on some kind of revolutionary drug that makes dogs live longer.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah, I've heard about that.
Like it can add like 5 years to their lives or something.
So, okay,
I heard-
either, be interesting. So either they're talking about the dog aging project or they're talking about Loyal and Loyal's drug. I'm guessing they're talking about Loyal because that's gotten more press recently. So we'll see.
When I watched this live, my first thought was rapamycin. I got pretty excited.
The same thing about cats, because cats always die by liver failure, I think, is like
Kidney failure, I think.
issue, and it'll extend your life of your cat 20 years. So
Wait a minute. No, they better not be talking about rapamycin or Loyal.
Yeah.
So I don't know. First of all, no.
Yeah.
I'm like 99.9% sure there's nothing that is likely to extend a cat's life by 20 years right now.
Because that'd be like double their lifespan, their current,
At least, more than that, yeah.
Yeah. Again,
We can't even do that in a mouse.
One reason why I love this clip, so this is Love, he's from Sweden, he's the best, is this kind of shows that people who aren't in this world, they just read a headline and what kind of sticks and like what.
Well, let's see what they're
permeates.
talking about. But I think it's very, very unlikely there's any scientific backing for something that will increase lifespan in cats by 20 years.
All right.
Oh,
Crazy.
shit. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's experimental.
I mean,
still,
that would
but-
be so. Can you imagine having your pets for 30 years
I
instead of
know.
like I only had 5 years with my
Yeah.
almost 6 years. A drug called LOY
Okay, so this is the Loyal drug.
That's Loyal, okay.
001 is in development that could help dogs live longer. What does it do? It's an injection-based treatment that targets the IGF-1 hormone that accelerates aging. It's designed for healthy dogs over the age of 7 and above 40 pounds. Oh shit, above 40. My dogs are under that.
Yeah,
They
so
gotta
this
get-
is interesting. I mean, so maybe they'll talk about it, but IGF-1 is the largest determinant of body size in dogs, well known in laboratory animals to promote aging, I guess, or limit longevity. Loyal is developing a drug that is expected to reduce IGF-1 signaling, and their hope is that you can give it to dogs and it will increase lifespan. I think the one unknown here is that most of the laboratory studies have been on animals that have lower IGF-1 signaling through development, so they're smaller. That's associated with pretty robust increases in lifespan. There's, as far as I know, only one study that tried reducing IGF-1 in adults specifically, so after body size had already been established. Again, this is in mice. The effects were pretty small and they were sex specific. So Loyal is hoping that in large dogs in particular, reducing IGF-1 activity specifically in adults will increase lifespan. But again, the mouse data is, not completely clear or compelling on this question. You might really need to have the developmental effect, which would also result in smaller body size to get the robust lifespan extension. But that's the drug that they're talking about. It's gotten a lot of press lately.
So Ethan has 2 Yorkies, Alfredo and Ducky, and they're probably definitely below 40 pounds. So why is that the cutoff again? Like, why do you have to be 40 pounds?
40 is arbitrary, but the, I think, hypothesis would be that this particular therapy, if it's going to work in adult dogs, will work better in large dogs than in small dogs because small dogs already have lower IGF-1 signaling.
I see. So it'd be kind of evening the two between a small and a dog.
Yeah, that would be the hope. Again, my expectation is that much of the difference in life expectancy between a large dog and a small dog comes from lower IGF signaling during development, but maybe some of that difference could also be achieved by giving the drug in adulthood. That's what they're hoping.
Okay.
They gotta get fat.
Well, I think it's because smaller dogs live longer anyways, usually, typically, compared to big dogs.
How it works. It activates some of the same pathways in the body that caloric restriction activates, but in a safer and more convenient way. Interesting.
Oh.
Maybe. I mean, it definitely overlaps with caloric restriction. Safer, I don't know. Easier to implement for sure. More effective? I don't think there's any evidence to support that yet. I mean, again, if you look at the mouse literature, the biggest effect on longevity comes from caloric restriction. So I don't think you can really argue that there's evidence that anything is more effective. But I do agree it's not practical to try to implement caloric restriction in dogs. And again, might not even increase lifespan in dogs.
It would have to be during development.
No. In fact, most of the caloric restriction experiments, maybe not most, many have shown you can get lifespan extension by starting caloric restriction early in adulthood. There is still a little bit of controversy about whether you can get the full lifespan extension from caloric restriction starting late in adulthood or not. And certainly it's not as robust.
Could you stack the two, loyal and caloric restriction? Or would that be
again hard
much?
To know? They're overlapping, so it's really hard to know what the interaction would look like. I mean, I wouldn't recommend true caloric restriction in your pets, anyways.
Yeah, fair enough.
This is crazy. The cat thing I was talking about. A drug called AIM is currently in clinical trials that may extend cat's life up to 30 years.
Holy
Isn't that
shit.
crazy?
That's just nonsense.
All right, yeah.
Well, so
wonder
again,
where's-
I guess I should say I don't know. I haven't heard about any clinical trials, so maybe that's true. My understanding, so AIM itself actually is a protein. It stands for apoptosis inhibitor of macrophages, I think, or apoptosis, depending on how you like to pronounce that word. And macrophages are key immune cells, right? And so the thought is that AIM promotes immune function. And in some laboratory studies in mice, my understanding again is that there's not a ton of work on this, but it's mostly been done by one lab in Japan. And in mice, particularly mice fed a high-fat diet, mice that are deficient in AIM develop kidney disease. And so this has led to the hypothesis that if you could activate AIM, that might be protective against kidney disease. And so there's a company out of Japan, and it's based on this research. I think the scientist who did the research is actually involved in this, that is trying to create a cat food that has a specific amino acid called AIM30 that is thought to be an activator of AIM protein. And so the idea is if you put AIM30 in this cat food, it's going to increase AIM activity and protect against kidney disease. I have not seen any data that the cat food protects against kidney disease, or even in mice that AIM30 in mice not fed a high-fat diet, that it has any beneficial effect. So this is where maybe there's data out there that hasn't been published, but as far as I know, there's no data in the public domain supporting the idea that this is going to be beneficial. And then I think the other piece that's worth appreciating is even if you could cure kidney disease in cats, it's not going to give a 30-year lifespan extension, right? I mean, again, we know from the human data that if you cure both cancer and heart disease, you get about a 7-year increase in life expectancy, okay? Cancer and heart disease together in people, I'm guessing, accounts for 60 to 70% of the deaths. Kidney disease in cats, again, it's hard to know exactly, probably accounts for 50% of the deaths. So even if you cured all of kidney disease as a proportion of lifespan, at best, it's probably going to be a 10% effect. And that's assuming you don't do anything to other age-related diseases. This is the difference between curing one disease versus slowing aging. You slow aging, you reduce the prevalence of all the diseases, you get a much bigger effect on life expectancy. You cure kidney disease alone, even if it's the major cause of death, even if half the individuals are dying from kidney disease, it's probably at best, a 10% increase in lifespan. So if you think about a typical cat, let's say it lives 17 years, that's 1.7 years. So there's just no possible way that if this drug actually worked, which I'm skeptical of, and prevented all forms of kidney disease, that it's going to get you 20 years of added life or even 10 years of added life.
So if you eradicate kidney disease, then cancer goes up as a percent. Other things
Right,
kinda
because
go
you
up.
don't do anything to those other age-related
Yeah.
diseases, which continue to increase exponentially as you get older or as the cat gets older. So this seems to me, I don't know where these numbers are coming from. I'm guessing it's from some press release that the company selling the food put out. It seems to me like a product based on early stage, again, this is at least based on the research I know of, early stage clinical data without any real world data, that because it's an amino acid, you can just put it in the food. There's no regulation around it, and they can just sell it to people and make sort of wild claims that, I mean, even if the molecule worked, to the best possible effect that you could expect, would have nowhere near the benefit that they are saying it might have.
You get 1.7 about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, this is a live show. So while they're alive, he probably just Googled this AIM product, and now he's reading something. So and sort of in the defense of love here.
No. Yeah. I mean, I get it. Let's finish, and then maybe we can talk a little bit about how sometimes things get misrepresented in the media. Yeah.
That makes that I would want to get a cat, because I mean, having a lifelong relationship with a pet like that would be so special. I mean,
Dude.
Why do our pets only live so short? Like on Earth, so many animals live longer than that.
Yeah.
So many. I mean, a lot of mammals, to be fair, live basically that amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
But how can it be that we can live 100 years old, and these animals that are, we take care of them, we love them, we do everything, they age so fast.
They should watch our episode on body size and aging. We explain exactly what he's asking.
Perfect.
In depth there.
Yeah, he had a Yorkie named Shredder who died.
That's a cool name.
Yeah, he died last year. I was only 6 years old. I believe kidney failure, similar to you and Dobby, and it was very part of the family. And so,
what is that? We have to do better, you guys.
It's sad.
Like he's talking to you right now.
They're eating the dogs.
Hey, we're trying.
Yeah.
And you eat them, man. It's just.
And that was again inside joke with the whole Trump soundbite there at the end.
Okay.
Okay. So that's everything related to aging and stuff that we talk about on the podcast.
So I mean, I think a couple of general thoughts I have. I mean, one is it's cool that they're talking about this. That it's sort of permeating the collective consciousness that there are efforts being made to slow aging in companion animals, cats and dogs. Obviously, I wish they talked about the Dog Aging Project, but that's okay.
Yeah, well, that's why
maybe
we're here
in a
today.
future episode.
I'm hoping to get this in front of Ethan.
But I think also this illustrates how sometimes fantastical claims that have really little to no basis in reality get amplified, right? So again, I'm sure it started with a press release or something put out by the company that's selling the product. Maybe it got picked up by some other media organization. 20 years increase in life expectancy in cats. It's just ridiculous based on the best possible outcome with this therapy, right? It would be, I guess we have people talking about doubling lifespan or reversing aging in people, so it's no more nonsensical than that. But the reality is that I think it's unfortunate that these sort of fantastical claims get amplified because it kind of dilutes the message and the impact of the real science, right? Like, I think if we could give most people's dogs or cats 20% increase in life expectancy, healthy lifespan, 25% increase, that's a big deal. But and I think that's realistic given what we know today. But it becomes sort of diluted with this idea of, what's 2 years when this other thing might do 20 years, which is just nonsense. So I think it also kind of further degrades public trust in science and in particular the field when these, again, what I would consider nonsensical sort of claims get amplified. So the mixed feelings, I guess, about this. It's great that they're talking about it. And I get it's not their job to vet this stuff, but it also would be nice to have a little bit more basis in reality, I guess.
Well, about a year ago, they had Brian Johnson call in. And so they had a whole conversation. And Ethan is pretty funny when he interviews people. But I think it would be great if you wanted to have Matt call in, someone who actually has a PhD and more experience in this field. That would be a lot of fun. You could answer kind of these questions that Ethan was bringing up here. A few more sort of like inside jokes is I know they're going to what watch I'm wearing. So this is a Submariner, no date. So that's for Zach and Ethan. They're going to want to know our heights. So I'm 6'3". Are you?
6 foot.
6 foot. Okay. And then that's it. That's everything I got for you today.
Awesome. All right. Well, been fun. And I expect to be better dressed next time.
I will be. Yeah, 100%.
All right. So thanks everyone for watching this episode of the Optispan podcast, short but sweet. As always, if you have any comments or questions, please leave them below. If you're not yet a subscriber, hit the subscribe button. Come on, y'all. And we hope to see you next time on the Optispan podcast.